We have Jade Lewis with us. Now, Jade is a thought leader and in the prevention space. So we're talking about raising resilience in our kids and what young people really need today. And we're going to get to know Jade a little bit. How you doing, my friend?
Good. How are you?
I'm really good. It's a pleasure to finally meet you in person and to get to know you. You do a lot of work in that youth advocacy space, speaking into schools and that. So how did you get into that? What's your background? And, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So there wasn't really one defining moment for me. I've been doing this for about 25 years. And I think my work has been shaped by a combination of lived experience, years of frontline work in schools, prisons, communities and families, and also with a background in my academic study. I think one of the things that I have seen is that trauma, broken relationships, addiction, poor choices and pain can impact generations, not just now, but a long time down the track. But I've also seen the power of healing, restoration, support, education, and how this can actually turn lives around. And I'm really passionate about that.
No, that's so good. I love that sometimes our journey of our own personal experience shapes where we end up. Was there a moment or experience that turned your life around?
There was. I mean, my lived experience was at 15. I was lured into the drug scene, and even though I had the world at my feet with being a good student, being able to have the opportunity to race overseas in athletics, I was as vulnerable as any other young person. And I got lured into the drug scene, going to rave parties and ending up with an addiction by the time I was 18.
Wow.
I really saw, and, even in hindsight, addiction is never just about the person. I mean, my whole family got dragged into this. Yep. And we were really at a point, and I'll never forget it, where we really felt like there was no one that could understand us or really that we could find hope anywhere. And so my life turned around in 1999 when I went away to the Teen Challenge program in Esperance, and I learnt to live my life again. Yeah.
What is it that you're finding that young people are talking about today that may be a bit different to what we grew up with?
Look, I think addiction when we were growing up was probably relatively straightforward in terms of it was drugs, alcohol, and maybe cigarettes. But I think now there's a new addiction. It appears almost every year. Yeah. I think addiction is very complex. It's very broad, and it just seems that there's big industries out there seeking to exploit our young people, and they'll do it through whatever avenue they can. So whether it's gaming, gambling, drugs, alcohol, screen, vaping, it's so broad, and we must educate our young people to let them be in a position to make some well-educated choices, to be able to say no instead of going down that path that so many other people have
gone down. Yeah. What are the biggest challenges that youth and families are facing today?
I think with young people, one of the biggest things that they're facing is things like loneliness, pressure to succeed, keep up, and even what exacerbates that is sometimes what's happening at home, what's happening in family, what's happening with parents, and then sometimes there's this lure into substance use or other addictions as an outside way to try and mask, control, fix what's really going on underneath. Yep. I think all of this, again, can the added pressure of the digital world, right? That they can escape into there, or, be pressured with all this comparison culture, anxiety, pornography exposure, cyberbullying, identity. So it's a very complex world our young people are growing up in. And sometimes they're trying to navigate these big challenges with very little resilience and coping skills.
Yeah. I kind of, when I think about our young people in the world they're growing up in, like I know myself and yourself, like we've all got the digital devices, we've got the mobile phones and that. We didn't grow up with them. We didn't have that as part of our world. I really find it hard sometimes for parents to even grasp how challenging that is for our kids who are digital natives in this space to wrap their head around what they get on their device and the addiction that's there. Is there something in there that, in that prevention space that, helps us understand or put this into practice?
Sure, I think it's exactly the same. So this generation are growing up in a very different world than we grew up in. And so when we are navigating something that we don't know, the best thing that we do is educate ourselves.
Yeah.
As parents, we must keep our finger on the pulse, stay in their world, try to understand and empathise what they're going through, because what worked for us doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for them. Yeah. So that looks like inconveniencing ourselves when schools put on guest speakers or, seminars or something. Yes, it means giving up a night to go in and learn. So having that posture as parents that we're going to learn and go on that journey. But I think even more than that, we have to pivot and we have to reprioritise our kids' adolescent years and be available. You must stay connected to them because there's a lot of things out there trying to connect our kids' attention. That unless we do, someone else or something else will hijack them.
Will hijack it, yeah.
So we have to reprioritise, we have to reset, I say to parents at our seminars all the time during adolescent years, if you feel like, I don't have a life, then you're probably doing the right thing.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, because you're spending time with your kids and you're trying to help them, yes.
And trying to just stay in their world and stay connected. And it's really during those adolescent years, you just have to lay some things down. That's their most vulnerable. We certainly should not take our foot off the pedal during those years. If anything, we should be more intentional, because that's the years 14 to 24 that their brains are undergoing massive changes, which means physical, mental, emotional, brain, everything. Yep. That's their most vulnerable, and that's where we need to be more intentional.
Yeah, so that's the time that we tend to take our hands off. It's normally in that up to 14-year age bracket. We're like, yep, cool. Now they're becoming adults. This is where we take our hands off. When it comes to prevention, is education the best form of prevention for us?
Absolutely. So I think understanding that when we look at, say, big industries that really do try to exploit our young people, particularly during those vulnerable years of 14 to 24, our best weapon of defence is actually educating ourselves and educating them. If these big industries are studying the minds of our young people, which they do, then so must we. As we're not just parents, we are protectors. And that means boundaries are important, conversations are important. We need to have a understanding within family that nothing is off the table. Yep. You can talk about anything with us, which means, again, parents have to reset, because some things your kids want to talk to you about will shock you.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you have that rule in your family that you can talk to us about anything, then you have to put some reaction buffers in.
Yes.
It means you're not allowed to yell when they tell you things. You may need to say, hey, you need to leave me alone for 5 or 10 minutes while I process what you've told me. But if you have that understanding in the family, then you also have to prepare yourself for that.
That's such good advice. Now, we've got a message that came through from Corny, and it's saying, do you have any practical tips on how parents can let their kids feel more connected and loved? Also, how to navigate around technology in this era. Feels so difficult to stay away from games, screens, etc.
Okay, well, let's hit the first one about being connected. I think when there's a transition from their formative years, which is up to about 11 years old, and then during their adolescent years, there's a big shift. And firstly, what might start off when our kids are toddlers might be very directive and very, straightforward talk, you will, you won't. When they move into adolescent years, we must move into a more mentoring, coaching, the way we communicate with them. They're changing a lot. So the other thing we have to do is we have to connect with their love language. We need to connect with their emotional tank. So there's a brilliant book called 5 Love Languages. Yep. And it seems like a really simple tip, but it's such a powerful one, because when you understand your children's love language, you can really feed that in a very intentional way. When you feed their love language and they're feeling full from your input, they're not going to look in all the wrong places for that. And so what feeds our love tank doesn't necessarily feed theirs. So again, it's taking that time, Doug, to go, what is my kid's love language? Because this is the power of it. When you do feel their love language and you're actually the one that's actually connecting with them emotionally, and on that level, you become their voice of reason. And what I mean by that is when they're, when they're confronted with a temptation or doing something wrong, more often than not, if you are their voice of reason because you've taken time to connect with that part of who they are, they're going to think twice about making that wrong choice, because they care. They care about you, and they care about the influence that you have in their life.
Yeah, that's so good. That's so good. How does that then play into, if we're talking about that's the connection component, and, you know, if we're wanting them to feel loved, is the loved part of it about how we scaffold boundaries, whatever it may be in their life or world that helps them grow?
Yes, I mean, we must give boundaries, but it has to be with love. If you have boundaries without love, you're going to get rebellion. If you're going to have love without boundaries, you're going to get, just really flimsy kind of permissive and passive kind of parenting. But if you can strike a balance with love, with boundaries, they're going to feel very safe and secure in your parenting style.
Yeah, that's so good. That's so good. When it comes to hope, what gives you hope in our world today? Like you're having conversations with parents, you're having conversations with kids, you're working in that space. Are there like things that give you hope around how we can engage young people? And care for them, I suppose.
That's right. I mean, I think I deep dive into, really traumatic and really, high levels of conflict in families as a parent coach. I can see that. But then as I journey with these families and I've seen over my 25 years of working with families and dysfunctional behaviours, people restore and get their lives back together. I kind of think, yes, we all have a, vulnerability to be broken, but we also have a lot of grace there, and we have the ability to turn our lives around by the grace of God and our own human will to actually go, hey, I can get through to the other side. People are stronger than they know. They're braver than they think. And I think if they can really dig deep and find that resilience within, they can get to the other side. And I hold on to every one of those stories who did find their second chance, to know that if they can do it, then when I deep dive and I meet the family who has all these problems on day one, I just think, you know what, and I give them the hope. Lots of people have done this before and they've got through. You cannot give up. Quitting is not an option. Adversity doesn't make you a failure. I'm in this with you, and we will walk you through it, and we will get to the other side. The hope is this: so long as you've got breath in your lungs, you've got a second chance. The worst thing hasn't happened. While everyone is still breathing, there is hope. And you will get through this, and you will come out stronger.
Hey, it's Doug from Mornings on Sonshine. Thanks for watching this video. Make sure that you like, comment, subscribe, do all those good things. Share it with a friend who might get something out of it, and I'll catch you in the next video.